I love Steve. I love Steve.
I love Steve. You're listening to the Steve Hatherly Show.
I want TBS EFM. Steve's a cool dude. You're listening to Steve Hatherly Show.
His first album, entitled One Chance, which was released in 2007, went to number 1 in 9 different countries. His second album, Passion, I'll see if I'm pronouncing that correctly in just a moment, released in 2009, also achieved great success. And his third album, entitled Cinema Paradiso, was just recently released. He was the winner of Britain's Got Talent in 2007. He is a multi-platinum, award-winning, internationally renowned tenor, a worldwide recording artist. But today, he is my guest in the studio, sitting directly across from me, none other than Mr. Paul Potts. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Not your first time in Korea?
No, it's my 4th time, and it's always great coming back. I always feel a great warmth here. A warmth that is almost infectious. I love performing on stage here in Korea because you can feel that warmth actually transmit from the audience.
More so than if you travel to other countries?
I think there's a different sense of warmth. I mean, you get a different feeling. There's real enthusiasm elsewhere, but there's a really friendly warmth about the audiences here.
Yeah, very nice. All right, well, let's go back to the very beginning. You are from the UK. You started in music at a pretty young age, right?
Yeah, I was 6 when I first started singing. It was something that I just liked to do, and I had a odd stage where I wanted to be a vicar so that I could sing every Sunday. I wasn't necessarily interested in the rest of the job.
Right, just the singing.
But if I could sing, though, I was happy, you know, and it was something that I enjoyed doing through my childhood.
Was it always, I mean, what style of music were you into when you started? Was it always classical music? I can imagine no.
It would be sort of church music in church, obviously, and school choir. We'd sing a variety of things. But it'd have a classical bent. But I enjoyed listening to all sorts of different music. Some of the best and some of the best songwriting was done during my childhood. Now that I'm ancient and 40, I think back to the 80s and mid 80s, and you have groups like Spandau Ballet, Aha, some great music around that time. You know, Queen were at their peak as well at that point, and it was a great era to live through. I think the mid 80s had some of the best music that has ever happened.
When you started out and you were loving singing at that young an age, were you open about it? Because I understand that you were bullied in school. Mm-hmm. So were you open was it kind of a secret hobby that you enjoyed, or was it something that you were openly, actively pursuing, and it was no secret to anyone?
Well, it was no secret to anyone, because I didn't have any friends to actually hide it from. So there was no point in hiding it. I mean, I'd be the one in school assembly that everybody could hear singing,
right?
And because everybody else would just sort of mumble along, and was I just sing out loud, and it was something that every Friday afternoon between 3:30 and 4:30 we'd have school choir rehearsal, and then the bullies couldn't be bothered to wait that hour. So it meant I could get to the bus safely. I didn't have to walk 2 miles ahead.
So let's talk about the point when you realized okay, I might actually be able to make a career out of this. I know that there were some setbacks. There was an injury, I believe it was in 2003, that stopped you from pursuing opera as a career. But at what point did you say, I think I can actually do this and make money from it?
I'm not sure when that point came. I don't think that even came immediately as I won Britain's Got Talent. It was...
Oh, really?
It wasn't really a realization that just sort of jumped on me. I enjoyed the show, but I never believed that I would get anything out of it. I applied for the show thinking that, you know, it'd be the last time I'd ever perform.
Now, you hadn't sung in years, right?
No.
Before you had auditioned for that.
I hadn't sung in nearly 4 years, and although I'd had some training before that, I actually felt that at the time that having that bit of training was actually a disadvantage to me.
Really?
Because I had an expectation of how I might perform, but I had no knowledge of how it would actually happen.
Okay.
And when you have, they say a little knowledge is a dangerous thing.
Okay.
And in that instance, it made me more nervous. I actually found it more difficult.
Because you had performed in front of people before on a stage. You had done, not paid, you had done operatic performances before. But you're saying with Britain's Got Talent, you just didn't quite know what to expect, but you kind of did.
I knew what I expected of myself. I didn't know whether I would actually, achieve what I felt I should. And because I'm a very harsh critic of myself, and I expect perfection. You're human. You're never going to get absolute perfection. But and when I performed Ness and Dorma that day, I didn't think I'd done good enough.
I saw it years ago. I saw it when it hit the internet. I mean, it just exploded. Everybody has seen this. I think it's well over 5 million views now, if not more. I was just blown away. The judges, actually, it brought tears to some of the judges' eyes. What did that feel like for you? Because you were a little nervous or a little on edge about going to do it. So after you finished that initial audition, that performance, what was your reaction to it?
Well, initially I thought that I'd blown it because
really?
I didn't think I'd done the top B at the end well enough. There was too much tension there, and I thought, well, no, you kind of blown that. And I was dreading what Simon Cowell might say.
Right.
Because he's very straightforward and honest. Others might say blunt.
That's a nice way to put it.
But I wasn't expecting anything positive, and although I could tell there was a strong reaction from the audience,
right.
I don't necessarily judge myself on the basis of the audience reaction. Often I judge myself on how I believe I performed.
Isn't that a clear indicator, though?
It should be, but I have my own self-doubts, and I'll doubt everything.
I am chatting to Mr. Paul Potts today, and we are going to hear a song from him right now. Could you tell us what song we're going to listen to?
It's What a Wonderful World. It was used in the film Good Morning Vietnam, but it's been used in lots of things. And it's quite an inspirational song, but it takes its inspiration not from lofty things, but from everyday things. And I think that's something we can all learn from.
It is track number 11, the last track, as a matter of fact, off Paul Potts' new album called Cinema Paradiso. We're going to talk more about this album in a little while, but first, let's enjoy this song. It is Paul Potts, What a Wonderful World. Oh, absolutely beautiful. I mean, you mentioned before the break, Paul, that you're your biggest critic, but I mean, you must realize, yeah, I'm pretty good. Even though you are your biggest critic.
I'm very happy with this third album, and I love making it. It's I've loved every album I've made, and I never expected to make one. And to get to a third album is something that I'm very proud of. And but I will keep striving to improve. And I am someone that I'll think, that wasn't quite right, that wasn't quite right, and that's just how I am, and I think it's healthy to be like that because it stops you resting on your laurels and helps you progress. You
and I were chatting during that song. Who did the music for that track on the album?
Well, the whole album was produced by Simon Franklin, who is the producer for Titanic, Avatar,
Moulin Rouge. Yeah,
huge music producer. But a lot of the arrangements, including that, were done by a guy called Nicholas Dodd, who does the arrangements for the James Bond movies. So the album has real movies DNA running right through it.
Why did you want to do? This is a really interesting concept for an album. I really like it. Why did you choose to do this style of an album?
Well, movies have always been really important to me. I studied them at university as well as I did a rather eclectic mix of studies at university. I studied philosophy, theology, and film. So a slightly different setup of a degree, but it was actually a movie that started my love of classical music, E.T., and so it was quite natural to pick something like that. And plus, there's always a song from movies that people know, and and some that people know well enough to join in with, and for example, Moon River's an example of that, because I knew the words off by heart without even have the words in front of me when I recorded it, because it's just one of those songs that everybody knows.